Hi, Sonia. Good afternoon.
Hi, Peter. We made them reminders easier without share my payment notification. So we want to know what the last. While we await our guests to join the call. Okay, so I have this. Faisal, good afternoon. Please meet Mrs. Tolulope Shonaike. She is one of the educators I will be talking to today. We're also expecting Mr. Obi from Aviation College as well. Hi, Mrs. Tolu. This is Faisal. I think I mentioned him earlier when we're having our practice session.
Yeah, hi, Faisal. Nice to meet you.
We make him from use the safsims. Can't seem to find how to play this on loop. So that it continues to play, but okay. Hi everyone. We have 3 guests already. Hi Ifeanyi. Hi Ahmed. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of SAF series webinar, where we'll be talking about parents-teachers collaboration and how that marriage would ultimately lead to success. I am Sonia Osayade from FlexiSAF, and with me today to have this conversation is Mrs. Tolulope Shonaike, who has been an educator, what do I put it? An inherited educator. You know, our parents are also educators or school owners, and she just, you know, morphed into that. And also to be having a conversation with me today as well is Faisal Sadiq. He is a product manager also at FlexiSAF, a parent who is going to also be having conversations with us from the parent's perspective on our topic of discussion for today. Hopefully in a couple of minutes, we'll be able to have Mr. Obi on the call to have this conversation with us. So I'll yield the floor now for Mrs. Tolulope to introduce herself officially, have Faisal also introduce himself officially, and then we'll just kickstart the conversation around parent-teachers collaboration and navigating that particular space. At FlexiSAF, we're very big on making sure that we're growth partners for educators everywhere. We're very big on making sure that our school owners, our parents succeed, all round. So we're having a conversation today around this and how we can ensure that this is something that we would all be able to excel at and succeed at. For educators, they want their students to succeed. It tells well on the schools, and also as parents, we take joy in our children also passing and also succeeding academically and in all ramifications. So today we'll be having that conversation on how we can navigate this, how parents and teachers can better collaborate for us to be able to achieve the success that seem to yearn and also want. So Mrs. Tolulope, hi, good afternoon, ma.
Hi, good afternoon.
Nice to meet you. Thank you again for offering to do this with us. And I'll just use the phone for you to quickly introduce yourself, and then I'll also be introducing Faisal. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Mrs. Tolulope Shonaike. I am the administrator for Christ Kingdom State Academy, situated in Abeokuta, Asheru. We are a primary school, hoping to become secondary school one day. And by the grace of God, we'll be 10 years by August. And God has been helping us to take the school to the next level. And I'm honored to be here today to be speaking on the parent-teachers collaboration, because it's a very, very important topic. It's a topic that everyone, teachers, parents, everybody needs to learn about, because it's a topic that is not really said, it's not really spoken about, but it's needed, because there's need. A lot of schools have PTA, which it's supposed to be that is supposed to be the, will I say, purpose of PTA, but many schools actually don't take that PTA. It's more like, let's just come and tell you what we want to do in the next session, or let's just come and tell you what's the next thing that the school has for your child. But that parent teachers association is actually supposed to be for parents and teachers to collaborate together to see how their children will succeed. Not just, my child is doing like this, I don't like what the school is doing. Most parents just come and complain, and that's all. And most schools just tell the parent, this is what we want to do, and that's all. But there's supposed to be hand in hand, let me put it that way, hand in hand, parents, teachers, how to make these children succeed in a very conducive manner. And hopefully we'll be able to dive in very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Ma. Thank you so much for the introduction. Faisal seems to be having network issues. I don't know if that has been resolved now. Faisal, can you hear me? Okay, hopefully as soon as network issues around that Faisal is currently having is resolved, I'm sure that it will turn on his mic, and then we can also get to officially meet him. So a couple of house rules. This session is being recorded. It means that everything that we discuss here, this video will be available as a resource for you to be able to watch again and get insights from. If you have questions, please feel free to use the Q&A feature. There's just, if you look at the bottom of whatever device you're using, either your phone or your laptop, depending on where you're joining us from. You can just send in your questions that you have concerning this topic, or you can use the chat button. We promise to pick these questions and have your concerns addressed. So earlier I was having a conversation with Mrs. Tolu, and we're talking about the dynamics of parent-teachers collaboration. You would think that this is an issue that is what's the word now, that is domiciled here, just with us. But I was telling her that once you just put in the word parent-teacher collaboration on Google and just check the news, or check, you see a lot of articles, you see a lot of news features, you see a lot of associations that have been clamoring for this, but there seems to be something that we're still not getting right till date in that aspect. So in your experience, Ma, what would you recommend as what the gaps are? What are things that are responsible for that gap at the moment between the effort of parents and also teachers towards grooming children and making sure that they succeed on both the academic and the home front?
Okay, thank you. So what is causing this gap now? Because many parents just feel like, my child is going to school, so let the teacher do their work. I'm paying the school fees, that's all. So most parents feel like they've done their part by just paying the school fees and sending their children to school. Children spend most of their days in school, actually, most of the hours in a day in school. So they are in school, some, like we have some parents in our own school that drop their children like as early as 6:30. And then some don't even come to pick until like 4 p.m. So the children are practically in the school all day. And the parents are like, okay, they're in the school, teachers, do your work. So they don't even, some parents don't even bother to even check even the children's homework. Some parents don't bother, they just feel like, okay, do your homework, that's all. So that's one of the gaps. Number two is, even some teachers just feel like, because we have different children, the way we learn is different. So there are some children that learn very fast, and there are some children that they are still behind. And some teachers just take it like, you just leave me, I can't disturb myself about you, you are taking me back. So if there is no parent-teacher communication, the parents will not know what's going on, the teacher will not be taking that student serious, and then the child will be lagging behind. So a child that is supposed to be brilliant, just because he is slow in learning, is already left out. Also, school administrators to have their roles to play. So some school administrators are just like, let me just work and let me just 9 to 5, come do the click my laptop, and that's all. Meanwhile, even school administrators have work to do. In my school, I know every child, like I know them by name. I know what each child does. I know which level each child is in. So when a teacher is trying to, if I see a score, then I know that no, this child should get more than this. I call the teacher, what's happening? What's going on? But if there is no that communication among even the school management and the teachers, it will also give gaps. So let me just say those are the three: the parents not putting their mind to what the child is even bringing home. Most parents are just, what did you eat? Did you eat your food? That's the only thing most parents, they don't even bother to ask, what did you do in the class today? What, or the next thing they will ask, did your teacher beat you? And that is not the next thing. You are supposed to know, tell your child, bring your bag, look at your child's book, look at the work they did, ask the child questions on what they did that day, just to know that, okay, did my child understand what was taught in class today? Instead of the trivial, did you eat your food? Did your teacher beat you? That is what most parents are always on about, and which is not supposed to be so. So that is why there are gaps. Let me stop there for now.
Thank you so much for that, Ma. So from the three things that you've mentioned, we can see that it looks like the gap is majorly hinged on communication. Yeah. And I know that you've mentioned the fact that, you know, it's understandable when you look at the fact that a lot of parents are out, you know, trying to get the bottom line, making sure that there's at least money, you know, to pay these school fees and to keep, and parents come back home and they're tired, right? But then which is where like a platform like ours comes in. So for a platform like a platform like SAFSIMS, which is our own school management software, where we can bridge the gap in communication. If we were to have kind of like a way to be able to bridge this gap from the 3 points that you mentioned, okay, Faisal is still having issues with his network. It would join us as soon as he can, as soon as his network allows him. Oh, hi, okay. Faisal.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So sorry about it. Yeah, coincidentally, the network decided to go off. Immediately I joined.
It happens. Those are some of the issues, you know, that we're still facing. We'll solve them one at a time.
Yes, but I've been following. I think I've gotten the part that Mrs. Tolutope has been explaining.
Thank you. Okay, so she raised 3 issues around why there are gaps, you know, between the parents and teachers collaboration. And some of the 3, so out of the 3 things that she mentioned, that says parents are, you know, are not as they're not as, what's the word now, for lack of a better word, involved, you know, in the academic activities of their children, and that it's because, and then you find that a lot of students tend to spend a lot of time in schools and not even really at home. So we're looking at what are the things that we can do. And one of the things that I mentioned was the fact that from things that she's mentioned, it appears that there is a communication gap. So that is that parents are not exactly being, is the right word carried along, Mrs. Tolu?
Yeah.
Being carried along
yes.
So how can we use technology, you know, to be able to bridge this gap? What are the things that we can do? What are your recommendations? So you've already mentioned your challenges as an educator. Faisal is here as a member of, you know, FlexiSAF, also a parent, to also talk from the parent's perspective. So you've already said some of the pain points as an educator, some of the things that we wish that our parents, you know, would do more of. So Faisal can just help us. Faisal, I don't know if your network would permit to talk about from the parents' end of things. So that way we can then come into the middle of it and then look at how we can chat a way forward.
Yes. So thank you so much. The bottom line here, I think, is all about communication and effective communication, if I may put it that way, right? And for us as solution providers, we're always looking out for problems to solve, you know, being a company in the education sector. And our aim is to see how we can keep simplifying these things. But of course, over time, with the experience, at least I have experience of 4 children in school so far. You know, I think I have about maybe 10 years experience with schooling, so I have an understanding of it. You know, she is right. Sometimes it's about blame game. Parents would want to pay more attention to whether the child has been beaten, you know, more of, instead of focusing on the learning aspect, you know. There are very key important things, you know, things like health issues. The feeding she mentioned is also a very important thing. But in the world of today, parents are very busy. You know, we don't have that time to be going to schools, and we have placed these children in the hands of the teachers or the school authorities. And we also want to get involved. So instead of the blame game, teachers feeling offended by parents feeling offended, and you know, just the way she mentioned, they have this sentiment of saying, I'm paying school fees, so I shouldn't even bring school homework home and all that. Why are the teachers transferring the work down to us and all that? So all these are sentiments that are shared by a lot of parents. But it's all about simplification and making the communication very effective. And you know, if you look at things like the learning itself, which is the most important thing, parents have to collaborate with teachers to ensure that the children get the right thing. So do you really just wait for the child to come home and then you flip over his notebooks and see what is there? You know, you don't even know what the lesson plan looks like. You don't know what has been planned for your child for the term. All these are very important things. You know, in the past, you get these things on paper for schools that are serious about these things. Also, there's a book they call communication book at times, where the teacher will write on and give you a brief about your child. Some try to do it on a weekly basis. Some don't even do it at all. You know, so all these are things that. But if you look at it, it's also tasking. A parent that is in the banking sector, for example, or is very busy. You close from work, just like the teacher. The teacher's work is to focus on the learning of the child, but of course, the parent needs to be informed. You want to know what also happened to your child in the school. And do you keep relying on paper? You know, the teacher has to write, you also write back. That is not effective. Or you use your child as the medium of communication. I believe is also not effective, because the child is also a human being. He or she has his own sentiments. He may not like the teacher, and the child will end up telling you wrong things about the teacher. Or the teacher may not like your child, and the teacher ends up telling you, you know, the wrong things. At the end of the day, it creates a lot of conflicts. So using technology now, you know, we can bridge a lot of gaps surrounding this effective communication. You simplify the whole thing, you know, for the teacher to communicate with the parents. When it comes to school fees payments, you eliminate all those bottlenecks, going to the school to collect teller, you go to the bank and make payment and you come back, you know. Imagine living in cities like Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt, where you spend the whole day in the office, you know, going from one point to the other. You have to dedicate the whole day, you know. So technology will come in to resolve a lot of issues around those challenges.
Thank you so much, Tracer. You already said a lot of packed and loaded things. You already mentioned the fact that, you know, parents are out and they are working. And then if we're to move in the way we used to do things with communication books, I had a communication book. Sorry, was it communication book we used to call it? No, I didn't have communication book. What I had when I was in secondary school was open day. I had inspired 18 years old, by the way. So please, we had open day. It means that it was one day in, I think it was one, open day used to be once a month, I believe, or maybe
once in a term. Once in a term.
It is during that opening that my parents would know what's going on with me in school, because that's when they will come, they'll check your notes, you know, talk to your teachers, and then that evolved to log communication books. So my siblings come with communication books that they would sign, I think it was every Friday, to say the summary of how the child has fared and all of those things. But the challenge with that kind of system is the fact that I've had a long day at work. You know, then I've closed, then I'll now come back home. and start picking up this and picking up that. So that's like what he said with technology, which is where a product like our school management system, SAFSERIES, comes in, where you can actually go on the go. So if something happens in school right away and the teacher updates it, on the app, you can just pick it up. The way you open your Instagram, your Facebook, your this, your that, you can check it on the go. It means that even before you come home, anytime you are with your so how can we help each other?
Hello?
Hello, can we all hear her?
No, I think our network is having issues.
Yes, I think we lost her. Sonia, I think we lost you for a while. Yes.
We could not
Yes,
hear
we
you
can
for
hear
a while.
I apologize.
About
My,
it also. Yes.
my network was also starting to be unstable. So what was the last thing you heard?
Yeah, you were sharing the experience of communication book, and the open day you experienced.
Okay, so we've morphed, right? Like I was saying that we've morphed. We've morphed from open days. Open days was what I experienced. And then we've moved from open days to communication books. And then from communication books, we're now looking at what is the next thing. Technology is evolving. Technology is evolving every day. So there are schools now. Back in the day, attendance, there was this very big blue book that you take, blue. I think, is it blue or green? Green, presence. I think red, absence, that used to take attendance back in the day. But that has evolved now to, being able to use software and not having to queue in banks, like Faisal said, to pay school fees and to manage this and to manage that. So how then can technology come in to solve this gap that we're mentioning? I mentioned the fact that, like, at FlexiSAF, we have a school management system, which is a tool that we help to have to help educators to focus on what they actually love to do, which is teaching. You find a lot of educators also spend a lot of time doing administrative work, doing paperwork here, paperwork there. But a product like SAFSIM comes in and helps to automate and make some of these things a little bit easier, to do. Then we also have introduced the parent app, which is kind of like the intermediary between the parents, the students, and then the educators, right? So that is a way that we can help each other. So what my question now is going to go straight to Mrs. Tolulokwe. Since you've Faisal already mentioned some of the challenges that parents have, in your own experience as an educator with a platform like, say, SAFSIM's parent app, what are some of the things that can be done in adoption of technology to improve this relationship, to improve this communication, for parents to be able to be more hands-on with what their children is doing in school, and being able to also help them while they're at home, where be it as on the education front or even on the upbringing front, because now you see that the curriculum has changed. Back then, my own used to be English, maths, intro tech. Now we're having different topics and subjects that I'm not so familiar with. So how are the ways that we can, balance this, adopting some technologies that you have, available to you?
Okay, thank you. I think first of all is as the school is embracing the technology, is also for the parents to also embrace, and also the teachers too. So if the school is saying we're using this software, everybody is we are supposed to go with it. So not that some people will say, I don't use internet, I don't have data, I don't have, because that's one of the, let me use my school as an example. That's one of the challenges we are facing with our parents, because some parents will tell you, I don't have Android phone. Some will tell you, I have phone, I don't have email. And I'll ask you, like, you are using an Android phone. Android requires you sign in with a Gmail. So that mail is your mail. That will tell you they can't remember the password. So we need, those are the areas where we need to help each other, because if the school is trying to, okay, you don't have time, you don't have, you are busy, you are working from 9 to 5, you come back, traffic and all that. Okay, now we have a platform, and I'm happy for this parents app that you're using, that you have introduced now. I'm just trying to work on it to see how, before I introduce it to our parents. And I'm glad, because I can see that it's almost the same way the website is. So there's no, it's not that it's a new thing. So as the school is trying to use the software, the parents also should get used to it. Because if we keep, because most of the parents right now are the parents from the 90s, and they are still feeling this technology of a thing is too much for them to understand. It's too much for them to comprehend. So most times you will even still see some parents that don't even know how to operate their phones. Most people just carry the big phones just to call. A lot of people don't even know that their phones can do a lot of things. So it's for, like, in our school, we had to hold a meeting to explain to the parents that, okay, this is the software we are using now. This is what it can do. This is what it can do. Thankfully, most of them are using the software for school fees, so they don't have to go all the way to the bank. And then, in fact, it was so helpful around the time when the cash, that time when the money was, I think when the old currency was out of phase and there was no money. So it was easy to use the software just to pay school fees. If we don't have to, at least it's not as if there's no excuse of, I don't have cash. Okay, the software is there. Just put your card in and your money, you have paid your school fees. So I think it's for everybody, even the teachers. Even the teachers have to also learn how to use the technology, because if the school administrator is saying we're using this, parents are using this, the teachers too are supposed to be able to use it. And thankfully, in our school, we have been able to, our teachers are using it very fine. In fact, as at now, I think we have a system in the school that they can just come in, log in, put in their scores, put in the comments, do everything they need to do right in school. You understand? So I feel like it still boils down to communication. Everything we're talking about, it still boils down to communication. Because if the school is trying to do something and the parents are not embracing it, how do we want to communicate effectively? So I think you, for SAFSIM, you are doing great. I will give you kudos for your website and your app. You are doing great. I just hope and wish that parents and schools can also, collaborate together using these technologies, because now the world is going tech. Nobody is using paper to be writing anything again. Nobody is, the world is advancing. We have passed all this paper writing of things down. Everybody is going advanced. My son will come and tell you, Mommy, I used an iPad, and you'll be wondering, me as your parent, I've not even used iPad, you understand? But that's where the world is going right now. So it still boils down to communication, like I said, and we need this collaboration. And I'm just hoping that this platform that we have, that has been given, will help, and parents will see the use and the need to be able to go for this technology. So I think that's just the major gap in technology. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I already mentioned the adoption of technology. Faisal, so she's already mentioned something that seems to be a recurring conversation that we've had. I think there was a time when we had because these webinars are usually recurrent. We tend to have conversations around issues that both educators and parents are having. And we spoke about, fees collection and being able to, like she mentioned, use so being able to adopt technology to pay fees, to do follow-ups and do one or two things, right? And one of the conversations that kept reoccurring is driving adoption amongst parents. So as a parent and also as a software person, what are your own recommendations on how we can actually go about it? So we've already identified that communication, bridging the loop, is one of the ways that we can improve this collaboration, collaboration. But then there also needs to be the place of technology adoption. How can we attain this amongst our parents, as being a parent yourself? But before I quickly answer that, please, to everyone that our participants that have joined the call, please, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat button, that's the chat option, or send it in through the question and answer feature, and we will definitely raise it with our panelists, and it will be treated. So Faisal, over to you, please.
All right, thank you, Sonia. So as a parent, right, I think Mrs. Tolutope has said it's all about communication, right? But some of the recommendations I will give here is because the schools sit at the center between the technology, whatever technology you are providing, and the parents who are the targets, right? But at the end of the day, it's all about the students excelling in their learning journey. So things like PTA meetings have to be leveraged. It's a meeting usually where parents and the school authorities come together to discuss a lot of things. Meetings like that can be leveraged to do a lot of sensitization. It is a reality, yes, that anything new that comes, there's a tendency of it being rejected on arrival, right? But with sensitization, when we keep echoing it, people will tend to accept it over time, especially when you are providing a lot of values. Like we've said, if we're able to communicate to parents, what values they can get from these technologies, especially when the schools are the ones telling them these things. Schools can also collaborate with the solution providers, and communicate these things effectively to the parents. I'm sure if we're able to do those, whatever technology you bring in as a school, parents will be able to accept it, and maybe at the point of enrollment, myself as a parent, whenever I approach a new school, because I have experienced relocation from one place to the other, I try to inquire what the school provides for me as a parent, that will give me some level of convenience. I'll have to make sure I don't come to the school often, and things that are beyond just telephone conversations, So those are some things I look out to. So we also need to encourage parents to look out for things that will provide convenience for them. I think that's something that will also push schools to adopt technologies that will provide convenience for parents. I personally, I look out for some of these things when I'm searching for a school, actually. So I think it's one thing that we also need to encourage. But, it has to be, people need to be encouraged. You cannot force them to do things, So I think the schools being at the center, we have to leverage things like the PTA meeting. I've said in the world, now that we use WhatsApp, most of the time you see WhatsApp groups for each class. For the whole school, you have a WhatsApp group. For every class, you have a WhatsApp group, and so those are also some platforms we can leverage to sensitize parents about whatever technology you are bringing into your school or what you intend to bring to parents. I think those are things that I would recommend to drive adoption of whatever technology you are bringing to the school.
You have spoken very well. It seems that the C words are winning today. Convenience, communication, collaboration, John. So from what Faisal has said, just to read, it is mentioned that everyone likes comfort. How can we make this as convenient for parents as possible? And also the need for repetition. There's the natural tendency to want to fight against change, or not. I think the word is not to fight against, to not readily accept change. You know, there's a way that we're used to doing things. When something different comes along, it's not the easiest, you know, to adopt. He has mentioned that being able to repetitively, you know, mention these things to parents and helping them to understand the benefits. Like you mentioned, during the cash crunch, when there was not that much cash, you know, circulating or moving around, there are probably a number of schools that probably didn't have a software like yours that could take payments and take school fees digitally, and would have to wait. It means that parents are going to tell you there's no cash, so we can't go to the bank yet, or we can't do this, or we can't do that, and they would have suffered, you know, in that regard. But then with a school like yours, where you already adopted a software that you use, SAFSIMS, and your parents already also have access to their own portals, and they were able to just seamlessly, without stress, able to pay their fees and other fees that needed to be paid. Convenience. I think that one thing that nobody can fight is the love for convenience. Everyone's looking for the easy way out, the easiest way to do things. Maybe not the easy way out, but the less stressful way to do things. Your natural order of things is already stressful enough. So by the time we're able to help parents to understand how this is for their own benefit, then we can maybe adopt some of these technology tools that are available for them to help improve the educational experience of their children. So convenience, communication, and collaboration, 3 things that SAFSIMS and also the parent app currently helps with. So we have a question from Mr. Shofolahon Samuel. It says, good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, ma. My name is Mr. Samuel Shofolahon. Okay, he doesn't have any question. Just wants us to help to introduce this platform to all parents, because this platform is very interesting, so parents can know more about their children's schools. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Shofolahon. Mr. Shofolahon, I hope I got that right. So this we usually send out invites to all our parents to be able to all our schools. So this session is being recorded. So it means that the nuggets and the tools and the tips that we're sharing will definitely be available as a resource. The video is going to be uploaded to our YouTube, which is FlexiSAF on YouTube. You also have a snippet on Instagram, either on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, any other platform that you use. You would be able to access this as a resource to watch, and also to drive some of the conversations that we're currently having. So thank you very much for that, sir. So just to quickly go back to some of the things that the schools are currently of convenience, and how these technological tools, is not only convenient for them, but would also help with the collaboration to help their children succeed.
I didn't get that, please.
Okay, I said that from what Faisal has said. He has spoken both as a technology person and also as a parent, and he has mentioned that convenience is the key. That is, if parents understand that these things that we're trying to help them to adopt, which is like, you know, the SAFSIMS parent app, or even the use of technology, or signing into their emails and all of these things, is for their own convenience, it's for their own good space, that you also practice in your school, that would help to propagate this message that other schools can also adopt.
Okay, are you asking how do we communicate to our school, to our parents?
Yes. The convenience message.
I can't really hear you. That's why the
Yes.
network.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? My network is not the most stable. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. So what's the question again?
better.
I'm not getting the question.
Okay, I said that from what Faisal has said, he has mentioned that one of the key things that can help with sending this message or getting parents to adopt technology, or to adopt the need for this communication, is highlighting how it is for their own good. That is highlighting the convenient aspect of it. So my question is, as an educator yourself, what are some of the things that you do in your school to propagate this message of convenience? That is, adopting technology, using these tools is not only convenient for you, but it's also very important in your child's success. So that way, so other educators can also leverage some of these things that you do to get success in their own schools as well.
Okay, so for us, like Mr. Faisal has said, we have WhatsApp group. So most of the information we give on the WhatsApp group, and then sometimes because most parents, like I said, will tell you they are not on WhatsApp. So we still send out the letters explaining to them what we need from them, what we want them to do, what their child needs. So we use the WhatsApp, we use the software also. The software has a message platform that we can use to keep reminding the parents about school fees or any information that we want. And I actually have a recurring message that goes to the parents every Thursdays. So just to keep reminding them that this software is what we want to go with right now. This technology is what we want to go with right now. And we also still chat with them on the WhatsApp group, just to know, because most of our parents gives their opinion on the WhatsApp group. So it's easy for us to also know what they are thinking, what they want, what they need, and we also pass across. And we also have our parents forum. We call it parent forum. We don't call it PTA, because that PTA it's not what it is. Let me just stop there.
It sounds like you want to collect PTA dues from parents.
You
every
understand? So most times they'll be like, they've called for PTA again, they want to collect money. So we just call it parent forum. So that parent forum, we allow them to speak their mind. We allow them to say what they feel about the school, what they want us to improve on. And we also tell them, okay, this is the software, this is what we are doing, this is what we want our parents to do. So it's like a collaboration. So it's not, let's just come and give you, this is what we want, and that is it. And we are not collecting money from them. In fact, just for fun, we even entertain them also. So it's just a platform to also get their feedback. You know, and we do that 2 times in a term, just to make sure that we do that at the beginning of the term and when the term is about to end, just so that we can get their feedback and also give them the information going forward. You understand? So those are some of the things that we do as in my school, Christ Kingdom Seed Academy. Those are some of the things that we do to pass across and to also make them understand that we are doing it for their good and it's for their children's good. So we make them understand that it's not even just us, it's for their future. Like we used to say, the children are our future. So it's for them. It's mainly we are a school because of the children, not even because of the school fees you're paying. How much is the school fees you're paying? So it's just because we want to see those children succeed. So those are the platforms we use to send message across to our parents.
Thank you so much for that. You mentioned 3 things
Your
that really struck me. You mentioned the fact that you communicate not just when you need school fees, or not just when you need parents to pay one. Oh, please, can you hear me?
Yes,
please, can you hear me?
Now. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, so you mentioned 3 things that struck me. You are very, as your school, And like you mentioned in your school, you're very parent conscious in the sense that it's not a bring conversation. So you find that sometimes people start to get weary if they know that once a message comes from my child's school and it is money centered or levy centered, they start to have their okay. I just got a recommendation that I should turn off my video. Maybe it's going to help with the network fluctuation. So please pardon me. I will turn off my video. Turn off my video to help with the quality of the network here. So like I was saying, really struck me from what you've said is the fact that your conversation is not solely hinged on bring. You find that there are a lot of schools or educational institutions that make the mistake of only sending message when they want to send reminders for levies or school fees or what have you. But if the parents are of the opinion, or they are brought to understand that we're actually we're here for your own good. We're trying to make sure that we succeed together. Your children succeed, you succeed, we also succeed as a learning institution. Then they are more willing to learn or listen that out there that needs a couple of tips. Some of the things that you've mentioned is making sure that you touch base often. Pick a particular duration that you want to make it at the beginning of the term or at the end of the term, or maybe in the middle of the term. Your school, for example, does it twice, which is very laudable. You mentioned another thing about automation, which is one thing that a tool like SAFSIMS or SAFSIMS Parent app would help with. WhatsApp helps with sending message, but you cannot automate it. Like take for example, every relationship is hinged on communication. When you greet me good morning, you greet me good morning, happy new week this week. Next week you greet me happy new week again. I feel more chummy with you. I feel like we have a relationship. So when this message is automated, it means you don't even have to remember to do it. All you just have to do is set it. Once you've set it, the messages are going out. Go do messages, happy new month messages to your parents, happy holidays when there's an holiday. If you can even go a step further and take birthday informations, and automate happy birthday messages, just to make sure that they know that it is a synergy, like we're in this together. It is easier for you to not get parents to be able to adopt what it is that you want them to adopt part-time, when they know that, okay, these people are not just out to collect from me. They're also trying to make sure that both myself and my children succeed. Thank you so much for that, Mrs. Tolulokwe. Just to quickly recap some of the things that we've been discussing since we began, we're looking at how we can navigate parent-teachers collaboration. We've identified the fact that one of the biggest issues within that space is communication. Teachers not being able to appropriately communicate with parents, and parents not being able to appropriately communicate also with teachers. We also identified that fatigue also plays a very big factor. So for schools that are trying to navigate this and they don't have tools or have softwares that they can use to automate this to make it easy. Faisal, who is a parent and also a member of FlexiSAF as well, mentioned that imagine if as a parent you've gone out since morning and then you are back at whatever time, say 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. If you're a parent in Lagos, maybe 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. because of traffic, how then do you expect that parents to want to now carry communication book and start saying, okay, what did you learn in school today? How can I help you with your mathematics? Or how can I help you with your English? It's just easier, to leave that burden with the school. Like, whoa, the only one that the school cannot help me with is, have you eaten? The school cannot help me with how are you feeling? So those are the ones that they want to focus on. But if you adopt a tool like, SAFSIMS or the SAFSIMS Parent app, where on the go, it means even during my lunch break, I can just pick up my phone and see how my child is doing in school. It makes it a lot easier to bridge that communication gap. Please, can you confirm that you can still hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Good. And the parent app is not just for parents, for schools to send messages to parents. It's also for parents to send messages to schools. So instead of writing it, like back when I was in primary school, for example, if my mother or my father were to write me a letter to take to school, best believe that I'm going to read it. I'll pick, what is in there and decide whether or not I want to deliver that letter. But when you have a app like the SAFSERIES Parent app, where you can send your concerns as well. Okay, this child, I'm seeing that he's having or is struggling with mathematics or is struggling with English. How can we both help him? Or how can we both help this child improve in this aspect? Or how can we both help this child do this, do that? It's a two-way street, right? You can send messages to the school, and the school can also send messages to you. So those are some of the summary of some of the things that we've been discussing so far. So please, like I said before, if you have any questions, please do let us know. You can either use the chat to send in your questions, or use the Q&A feature to type in your question, and it will definitely be addressed. I can see that we have somebody's hands raised. I don't know if you have a question. If you have a question, please, you can, Mr. Aliyu Umar. Okay, I have someone's hands raised. I'm trying to give him access to talk so that he can ask us this question. While we wait for him to either type in his question, I will just take some of the questions that we're able to treat, that we're able to gather rather before today's session. So what we tend to do most times is we tend to open it up and we ask people to send us their questions and things that they are struggling with, even though we've already treated some of the questions that we had during the course of our conversation, which was questions around how to drive adoption amongst parents, which we've spoken about, and also how technology can be used to how technology can be leveraged to help with navigating the parent-teachers communication, which would then increase collaboration. So the one question that we got that hasn't been treated yet is about how we can go about solving issues or pre-established notions. So one of the parents that we have on our platforms mentioned how, so take for example, if as the person's question was around how it's, from what we're saying about parent-teachers collaboration, is as though we're asking for parents to be retutored. So I tried one time to help my younger brother, when I was back in university, he had an issue with mathematics, right? And he just didn't like maths. It was a very big problem for him. He just thinks you can explain every other thing, you will get it. But you see mathematics, you explain that 2 times 2 is 4. You've done all of that. Then that's okay. It's time for you to now do the assignment now. Then the 2 times 2 that you said was 4 before, he writes 5. And not a lot of parents have that patience. Yes. Or that, because I mean, for us, we've passed that level. So we tend to not understand that this thing at this moment is so difficult for this child. So what are some of the things that we can do outside of communication that can help parents also to become what do we call it now? Do we call it a smaller version of teachers at home, for them to be able to inculcate, to help the children both on the home front as teachers help them on the school front?
Okay, thank you. It's still I will just use what our proprietor used to say, because he also used to tell us to say, you are forgetting that you are talking to a child. So like you said, we have passed that level, so we don't remember that we are talking to a child. Now, you have to like come down to the level of the child. I also, when I became parent, I was very impatient. When my son, if I try to explain something to my son and he's not getting it, I'll get. But I later understood that no, you are the one expecting. You can't, the thing is, you can't be expecting him to get it at your own pace. So there are different ways in which you can use to teach a child something. You can play with the child. You can act, you know what the child likes. So you can use that to say, oh, okay, the child likes to eat orange now. And you tell the person, okay, you tell your child, bring those 2 oranges. Now I give you two, you take two. You can turn it to a song. I still thank my mom for that, because my mom made reading easy, and I just had to tap into that even to help my son. So she forms songs with everything. She knows that I like singing. So she makes all my book, science, biology, what, name it, she turns everything to music. Up till now, I can never forget some of the topics, because the song still rings in my ears, because she knew that I love singing. So she sings everything. If she wants to explain anything, she sings it to me. I will give you an example. My dad used to tell me, he would say, when I was about going to GS1, and I was preparing for the common entrance, the Ugo then, and he was trying to explain something to me, and he was shouting and like, don't you get it? Don't you see it? And he beat me and went. And he said, the Holy Spirit just told him that, so now that you have beaten her, has she understood? So most times we are looking at them from our own knowledge, from our own wisdom. Meanwhile, they are still little, because sometimes you just feel like, he's 6 years old, he's 7 years old, he should know. They don't know, they are still a child. We were doing like a teacher's training in our school, and we asked the teachers to teach how they would teach their children. They didn't get it. They were teaching like, because it was we, the administrators and other teachers that were there, they were teaching like they are teaching us. Like, no, where did you put the place of singing? Where did you put the place of clapping or illustrations? So those are the things that children understand. They only understand, they understand the cartoons they are watching. So you know that your child likes CoComelon, for example. And in CoComelon, they portray a boy trying to say no to his father. And that's what you can remember, that will drive home what you are trying to explain. That is just what you remember, you just say, remember CoComelon? Remember what it took? This, relate it. Because that's the only way they can understand. If we keep, as I'm saying this, I'm talking to myself too, because sometimes I can be impatient. But I know as an educator that they are children. You can't deal with them like they are adults. Even adults, even university students are also trying to find it difficult to learn from their lecturers that way, not to now talk of little children. So most times it's for us to, is patience. We cannot even hide it. You have to be patient. You can't teach a child with, let me quote and unquote, gri gra gra. You have to be patient with that child, because the child is just getting to know it. It's just getting to understand. You have understood. You know that 2 + 2 is 4, but the child is still trying to wonder, and not even in this age where they question everything. They will question you and ask you, why is 2 + 2 4? Why can't I say 2 + 2 is 5? And you are trying to say, no, that's how it is. Then most times you see that the child will just move back and withdraw. And it can also affect the child's psychology. Then you see that your child is not talking to you, and you wonder why. So it still boils down to patience. We can't say, I don't want to be patient. Just that, know what your child likes and use illustrations. Use what he can, something they can visualize, because most of them these days, they watch cartoons, they watch different things. And if you notice that, okay, this is my child, this is what he likes doing, this is what he likes watching, and you have understood that thing, you can put it and use it to explain whatever it is, math, science, whatever it is. And if it is song, most of them, it's easy to learn music. So you can put some things in songs and help the children. So patience is still the number one thing that you have to, number one and the most important thing, let me put it that way. that that a parent has to have when teaching, because nowadays we notice that the formula that they're even using to teach is different from the formula we know. So if you are, and nowadays you notice that your child will tell you, my teacher said, my teacher said. So it's not you saying, what the teacher said is wrong. Because the teacher has told him 2 + 2 is 4, and you are not trying to say 2 + 2 is 5. You have to prove in a very, it's still patience. That's what I would say. It's still patience, because you have to prove to that child that, okay, what me and your teacher are saying is the same thing. No, it's just that you can also do it this way. You can do it this way. You understand? So that's why it's not as if the parent have to go to school again. No, that one that you know, teach that child with patience. I think that's just where I will cap it. Teach the child with patience.
Thank you so much for that, Mrs. Tolu. Faisal, do you want to chip in?
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with her 100%. What I would just have to say here is, as long as we'll consider this as a project, see the kids, see these children as a project, and see the parents and the schools as collaborators to enable that child excel in their academic journey, then I think we'll get it right. But she has already said that you need to consider you are talking to a child, different experiences from different educators. I don't really envy educators, honestly. The experience over the years really is not really a one-way approach. So as parents too, you also have to understand the peculiarities of those children. They are different individuals. They learn at their own pace. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. So you need to really do a kind of SWOT analysis for your children, and also inform the schools for them to know how to approach those children when they are teaching them. I admire one thing with private schools, keeping the numbers in their classrooms very sizable. So that also enable the teachers to have this one-on-one rapport with the children. They understand their children very well and all that. And, understanding all these things, that's why we're trying to use our own solution to simplify the communication between the schools and the parents, so that we can have success at the end of the day.
So far, we've established that we need to increase our communication. We also need to learn patience, both as parents and also as educators, to be able to navigate this collaboration. It is like Mrs. Tolokwe rightly said, she has mentioned that you find that with education, most times it is evolving. You find that I think I grew up with Mr. Niger D. When my younger sister was going to go to school, they said there's no longer D. I think there's no longer, it's now just Mr. Niger, or something else has been removed. And it's also Pluto was a planet when I was in school. Now Pluto is no longer a planet. They said it's a satellite or something like that, right? So these things evolve. So it means that even as parents, we also need to be conversant with some of these things and be patient while we also try to educate. From the question that we got, it's like, it's not that parents are not willing, it's not like they're not willing to help their children. It's that sometimes it's quite dicey to navigate. Let me not try and now confuse these children. From what Mrs. Tolulokwe has said, we need to also be patient with children, be able to also be invested in the things that they are invested in, so as to help them, succeed on both fronts. I think that with that, we've exhausted the questions that we've gotten before we began this webinar. Thank you so much to everyone that has been with us since we began. Thank you to Mrs. Tolulokwe. Thank you to Faisal. Please, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chats to send it in, or you can also always do us a DM across our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn as well. I think on that note, we've touched base on pretty much everything. We've identified what the issues are around the collaboration between educators and parents. I don't know if Mrs. Tolokwe, any final words? Faisal, also any final words before we call it a day?
Okay, first and foremost, I just want to thank that Mr. Shofola is one of our parents. So I just want to appreciate him for joining this meeting. And Mr. Shofola, don't worry. Well, the parents app, we are coming, we're bringing it. We're just doing some background checks, and it will be live on the KSA platform. So thank you so much, Mr. Shofola, for coming. I appreciate you. And just finally, I would just want us to, yes, as a school, we are putting everything in place to make sure that these children are well taught and well educated. And I know parents are trying. I'm also a parent, so I understand. So we are just pleading that let us make it effective. Let's help the school to also help our child. That's one thing that I personally used to plead with our parents, that let's help the school help our children, because if we just leave it to the school alone, it won't help the child, because the school alone cannot do everything. Yes, they spend most of their time in school, but we also have to put in our quota. Even as tired as we are, they are our children. You want them to succeed. The reason why we are working 9 to 5 up and down, day and night, is just because you want to give them a better life. So why now neglect them, all because you are trying to give them a better life? You want to give them a better life, give them a better life all round. So thanks to all our parents. We appreciate you. We see you. We see your efforts, even in the little way that you are doing. We see your efforts. We just want you to continue helping us to help your child. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Mrs. Toloko. You've spoken very well. It's an honor to have you. Faisal, any final words?
Okay, yeah. My sincere gratitude to the users of our solution. So just to maybe give some more confidence, right? Like I said, what we do is a combination of the knowledge we have, but we keep collaborating with educators and parents. We also use our own experiences as parents, to identify problems and develop solutions for schools and parents. And what informed us to even come up with the parent app is to reduce the noise, so that we can have parents focus on what really matters for them. Things like school fees payment, things like the communication. They want to get informed on what their child is up to, and also the communication medium. You can see on this meeting, we've been having some network failures and all that. So all these are dependencies we're also looking at to see how we can reduce them as much as we can, to streamline that communication between the schools and the parents. So we're also open to suggestions. We cannot do it alone, like I've mentioned earlier, and we've all agreed to that is a collaborative effort. So we need to collaborate. At the end of the day, it's a project to help our children succeed in their learning journey. I think those will be my parting words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faisal. Thank you so much, Mrs. Toloko. You've both spoken well. It's nice that we had a balanced discussion, from the parents' perspective and from the educator's perspective. My favorite part is most times when you have conversations around, parents and educators, it's usually that they're at loggerheads. But today we had a very synergetic conversation where most of the things that Mr. Lope raised were also backed by what Faisal has said. And to every single person that joined in our conversation today, we thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a conversation we have every 3 weeks, where we talk about issues around, educators, our students, our parents, and just generally trying to find solutions to some of the pending issues that are prevailing within that particular sector. Please, if you would like to rewatch and learn some of the other things that has been discussed today, please feel free to check our YouTube. Our videos will be up before the end of the week. That's before the end of next week. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying tuned and joining us. Thank you, Faisal. Thank you, Mrs. Tolokwe. Like I said at the beginning, my name is Sonia from FlexiSAF. And till next time, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.